today we're going to see a complete guide to first group verbs in French. So what are first group verbs? They are all the verbs that end in ER. All the verbs that end in ER in French. They make up for a very good chunk of verbs in French. And they are the easiest to follow because one rule applies pretty much for all, with some particularities that we're going to see. So let's take the most common first group verb, which is parler. To speak, to talk. So, je parle. I speak. Tu parles. You speak. Il, elle, on, ça. So, he, she, we, impersonal, ça, it. Parle. Nous parlons. We talk, we speak. Vous parlez. You guys speak. Il, elle, plural. They parlent. So here we have all the endings. Like I said, these endings apply to all ER verbs in French. Very important. So, something else to point out. See here, je, tu, il, plural. They have different spellings, but they are spelled the same. Je parle, tu parles, il parle, parle. Parle, parle, parle. I know it seems a little odd since they are spelled differently, but they are pronounced the exact same way. And this rule applies to all first group verbs. Once you know je, you know tu, you know il, singular and plural. Something else to point out. Nous, in 95% of the cases, in whatever tense, it will end in ONS. Nous and ONS are very linked. Second thing to say, vous, like nous, more like 85% of the case, it will end in easy. Easy, vous, easy, just like here. Nous, ONS. Whatever the tense, whatever the group, that's the rule. All right, let's do some other examples. Let's do marcher, to walk. Je marche. Tu marches. Il, elle, on, ça marche. Nous marchons. Vous marchez. Il marche. I, is, I, ons, easy, ent. Marche, marche, marche. Marchons, marcher, marche. Let's do just another one. Let's do discuter, to discuss. Je discute, tu discutes, il discute, nous discutons, vous discutez, il discute, and so on. Like I said, pretty straightforward. Once you know one, you know the others. The same rule applies to all of them. All right, now on to some particularities to keep in mind. The first one is about verbs like these. What do you notice here? All these verbs end in ER, because this is first group verb, but they also have a G here. that makes the sound j. First, pretty straightforward, nothing unusual. With nous, however, it becomes a little unusual. You cannot say and you cannot write this way. You would otherwise, because like I said, for example, marcher, you take out the ER and you add the ending, like we did for all of them. You're not allowed to spell it this way. Why? Because otherwise you're saying mangon. G, before O, the G is G, like in English. So you cannot say nous mangons. It has to be nous mangeons. So you add an E, you must add an E between the G and the O. And the rest is the same, no particularity. Vous mangez, il mange. This is, by the way, to eat, to change, to protect. So, changer, nothing out of the usual. Change, nous changeons, correct? We want to keep the je change, tu changes, il change, nous changeons, vous changez, il change. Last one. Je protège here, and we are going to talk right now about this one. Je protège, tu protèges, il, elle protège, nous protégeons, vous protégez, il protège. Here you need to be careful about this one. All right, so this is only about nous with verbs in je, like this. All right, on to the second particularity. We just saw it right here. So it's for the verbs like these. Protéger, préférer, lever, célébrer, geler, and so on. What do you notice? Here, for all these verbs, you have an E before a consonant or a diphthong here, and then ER. So, these are very particular. Like we saw here, you have to shift the accent. This is because you have to say est. Je protège. Protéger, closed, protéger. Je protège. Since it changes for je, it has to change for tu, il, because they have to be pronounced the same. So, je protège, tu protèges, il protège, nous protégeons, closed. Vous protégez, closed as well. Nous, vous, they often have their own rules. When something applies to je, tu, il, nous, vous, they very often just follow the normal process. And this thing applies to a lot of different tenses, exceptions, and so on. You'll notice that nous, vous, they do their own lives a lot of the time. Préférer, to prefer. So here, we have to shift this E. Je préfère. Je préfère. This E has to shift. Switch side. Tu préfère, il préfère, nous préférons, nous keeps, keeps the exact same stem. Nous préférons, same with vous, préférez, keeps the same stem, il préfère. ENT. Same with the rest. I'm just going to do one more. Je lève. Tu lèves, il lève. Tu lèves, il lève. Nous levons, because it has to say the same. Vous levez, il lève. Same with these two. For appeler, this is an exception to a particularity. Like most of you know, for example, s'appeler, you would say to call oneself. So this is, my name is, je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Technically, it should be spelled like this, right? Because this is this E before a consonant. Before a consonant here, I'm just going to point out which consonant or diphthong here. You would technically, to follow the rule, spell it this way. Except for some reason they decided we couldn't do this, and it has to be E-double-L-E. So, je m'appelle, tu t'appelles, il s'appelle, nous nous appelons, appelons, because it has to keep the same stem here. Vous vous appelez, il s'appelle. It's not because it's E-L that is E-double-L. It's only for this particular verb. For example, je l'ai, you were right. So this is to freeze. To freeze. This was to lift, by the way. To freeze, je gèle. Tu gèles, il gèle. Nous gelons, vous gelez, il gèle. Bien. All right, now on to another particularity. So here we said verbs with consonant plus E plus consonant or variation of E, consonant, diphthong plus ER. These are particular. And to the last one, I'll give you the verbs. Nettoyer, balayer, payer. What do you notice? Yes, they all end in ye. Verbs in ye. So for some of them, there are two options. For sake of making it easier, I'm just going to give you one version that works for all, because it's not all of them that have the two versions, but there's one version that works for all. So that's the one I'm going to give you. So this Y here, you have to be careful about this one. The je, tu, il will differ from the stem here. It will be nettoyer, to clean. Je nettoie. Je nettoie. Then I. I-E. I-E. Je nettoie. Tu. If it's je nettoie, then tu has to be nettoie, because they're pronounced the same. Il nettoie, same as je. Nous, attention, attention, Nous nettoyons. Nettoyons. You keep the Y. Like I said earlier, nous, vous, they usually just keep the stem. They have their own life. It's just je, tu, il that want to differ. Nous, vous, they just keep applying the same rule. Vous nettoyez. Nettoyez, il nettoie. Like this. Nettoyer. And this applies to the rest of them. Balayer, to sweep, sweep the floor. Je balaie, tu balais, il balaie, nous, attention, balayons, vous balayez, il balaie. Payer, balai, one L. Payer, to pay. Je paie, right? Instead of the Y, it's the I. Tu paies, il paie, nous payons, vous payez, il paie. Bien. Like I said, some of them have two versions. It's because in some case you can keep the Y. For example, payer has the two versions, so you can say je paye, tu payes, etc. But like I said, for the sake of not making it more confusing, if you just apply this frame rule to all of them, then you will be correct. Because not all of them can keep the Y. That's why. All right, so that was it. Let me know if you'd like me to send you this sheet. It will be my pleasure. And see you soon for new videos on complete guides to groups of verbs. Thanks for watching.